They say the city of brass is where the planes meet their match, where fortunes are forged in fire or lost in a single breath. I've walked its molten streets, bartered in its great bazaar, and risked my soul in deals that could have seen me enslaved, or worse. Picture this: towers of gleaming brass rising from an endless sea of flames, their spires piercing the smoky sky. Rivers of molten metal make their way through markets that never sleep, and every corner hides a new danger or opportunity. The air is thick with heat and ambition, but don't let the glimmer fool you. Here, gold flows like water, but mercy runs dry. The Ifrit rule with a fiery grip, and if you're lucky, all they'll want is your coin. I've traded with salamanders and fire giants, rubbed shoulders with Aza smiths, and once, just once, found myself face to face with the Grand Sultan's envoy. I left with my life, but not my dignity. This is the city of brass, the greatest market in existence and the most perilous. If you come unprepared, the flames will consume you. But if you can master its heat, well, then you'll never look at another city the same way again. Still, there's no place like it. The city of brass is a crucible, burning away weakness and leaving only the strong, the clever, or the fortunate. I've walked its streets and lived to tell the tale, but not without scars. Would I go back? Of course. For all its dangers, for all its heat and its treachery, the city has a way of getting under your skin. Once you've seen its molten glory, no other city will ever feel as bright or as alive. Mordenkainen, year of 3 ships sailing, 1492 DR, spoken from the Mad Mage. Today, we burn away the cobwebs to uncover the history, denizens, and secrets that this infamous city has to offer. The city of brass lies within the heart of the elemental plane of fire, a realm of unrelenting heat and searing light. This plane is a dangerous expanse where flames stretch endlessly in every direction, and even the ground glows with molten intensity. It's a place inhospitable to most mortal beings, where fire elementals roam freely, and rivers of lava carve paths through the infernal landscape. Amid this chaos rises the city of brass, an improbable marvel of magic and ambition. Perched atop a massive brass disc, it floats above the churning sea of flames. The city is a fortress, its walls shimmering with an intense heat that deters intruders and radiates the power of its masters. Tall spires topped with minarets feature prominently in the city of brass. The buildings are made of stone ranging from sandstone to marble, most of which is imported from the elemental plane of earth, or of metal, primarily brass, copper, or iron, edged with brass. Copper, silver, or gold. Ruling this fiery metropolis is the Grand Sultan of the Ifrit, a being of immense power and cunning. The Sultan's will is absolute, and his court is a place of opulence and intrigue, where deals are made that echo across the plains. Beneath him, the Ifriti nobility scheme and vie for favor, ensuring that power remains firmly in the hands of these fiery overlords. The city of brass has a long and storied history, shaped by war, trade, and conquest. Originally a gathering place for the Ifrit, it grew into a hub of interplanar commerce, attracting beings from across the multiverse. Its wealth and influence have made it a target over the ages, leading to countless conflicts with jinn, devils, and even mortal kingdoms. Yet, through it all, the city endures, a testament to the Ifrit's strength and the allure of its molten riches. The Sultan or Sultana in times past rules from the Charcoal Palace, and although there have been many different sultans over the millennia due to natural deaths and coups, little has actually changed in government beyond the name of the being in charge. Although the city's population is believed to exceed 4 million, no accurate census has been done in millennia. Many of the poor live and die unrecorded in any tax roll or army roster. Slaves are about a fifth of that total, or 800,000. Throughout its history, the city of Brass has been a focal point for conflicts and upheavals, as recorded in various sources. One notable event is the Ifrit's long-standing rivalry with the Jinn of the elemental plane of air. Though large-scale wars are rarely detailed by scribes, the tension between these elemental powers is a recurring theme, manifesting in skirmishes and power plays that have left scars on the city. Additionally, the Grand Sultan's court has been rife with intrigue and occasional coups. Historical accounts mention Afriti nobles vying for the throne, often engaging in plots and betrayals that echo through the ages. Long ago, the Archmage Duch stood before the brazen gates. He sought to conquer the city by virtue of the huge and powerful artifact known as the Codex of Infinite Planes. As he approached the gates, he rashly swore he would bring the Sultan to his knees and rule the city. Using the Codex, he walked through the brazen gates and began clearing a path of destruction toward the Charcoal Palace. He had not counted on the sheer number of the Ifrit who opposed him. 4 million Ifrit would not be denied, and Duch was bested in battle and bound in chains before he made it to the Sultan. The cleared area he left behind was made a racecourse by the Sultan, and horses, camels, and stranger things race there to this day. It is now called the Maidan. Beyond internal strife, the city of Brass has faced invasions from external forces, including devil-led incursions from the Nine Hells and mortal adventurers drawn by tales of its riches. Despite these challenges, the Ifrit's mastery of fire and magic has allowed the city to endure, each conflict adding to its legend. The city of Brass is vast, divided into districts that reflect its wealth and complexity. At its heart lies the Sultan's palace. This is the seat of power, where the Grand Sultan holds court, and unimaginable treasures lie hidden within its vaults. The Charcoal Palace is a dark building of basalt that seems to suck up all the light and flame around it. Its towers and domes are golden, brass, and copper. The palace sits on a small rise overlooking the rest of the city, and the mosques, shrines, and temples of Agni, Imix, Kosoth, Freyal, Suuter, and Hastazini, also simply called Fire. These temples are all strictly governed by an Afriti priest called the Mystical Legate of the Hidden Imam, and his warrior priests, who are called the Guardians of the Three Fires. The Charcoal Palace is the home of the court and courtiers, and the center of the military. The Sultan constantly receives petitioners there once each month. A huge fountain of purple fire roars before the palace, the sign of the Sultan's constant rule and vigilance. The fire dims and goes out only when the Sultan dies or is deposed. The new Sultan then relights the fires in a thunderous explosion of flame and soot that can be seen and heard throughout the city. The fountain is called the Breath of the Sultan. The obsidian fields near the city are cultivated with fireweed, fodder for the nightmare cavalry of the Sultan, and the foodstuffs that sustain the Ifrit. Qom, a type of soft, spongy grass. Habat, a dark wild grain. Vadoba, nutty, dark purple tuber. And Umbala, a spicy brown bean. Serfs and even common Ifrit labour here by day, tilling the fields, tearing out weeds, and harvesting crops. By night, the scarecrows of the Ifrit remain. The bodies of criminals and deserters are hung from gibbets in the fields, where they are left as a warning, not just to the elemental birds and vermin, but to other wrongdoers. The only unpatrolled region of the city's lands is the Sable Forest, which the nobles of the city reserve for their especial use. The black trees themselves are towering but perpetually bare. They are called serpent trees, and they live entirely upon the heat of the plain, which nourishes them as light does other plants. Hunts take place there almost every day, and trespassers may find themselves hunted down, not by patrols seeking to arrest them, but by packs of hellhounds ready to tear them apart. One of the most impressive features of the City of Brass are its curtain wall and the magical hemisphere that allows it to hang suspended in the air. The curtain wall that surrounds the city is hundreds of miles long and covered in sheets of beaten brass. This sheath of shining brass gives the city its name. Its brass towers are hundreds of feet high. Since its construction, the efforts of generations of slaves have given the city another marvel: the great brass hemisphere that allows the city to levitate above the ground. This has given the city new means of defense, and the curtain wall of brass is now usually unmanned, except when the city is floating in a sea, taking on goods. This ability to levitate allows the city to move, though only strong winds and currents can carry it at a perceptible speed. The city in flight is slow and stately, moving as ponderously as the seasons or the tides. In fact, the city has only been magically propelled on a handful of occasions, and each was a time of major calamity in the Efreet Empire. Because the Efreet depend on force to control and dominate their slave races, moving the center of power leaves in its wake an empire militarily vulnerable and politically disrupted. A power vacuum has always arisen when the city's rulers and their armies rushed off to quell minor disturbances or rebellions, and for this reason, the city only drifts slowly. The city depends on its harbour to bring in the vast quantities of foodstuffs and other goods its people require. The oily, fiery seas and the lakes of magma that it floats above make its harbour chancy at best for normal shipping, and perhaps the existence of a navy on a plain without water is odd. In fact, the city only has a harbour at all when the Sultan of the Efreet decrees that his city should set down near the surface to take on trade goods. The harbour is a series of basalt docks on basalt pilings that reach out over a shallow bed of sloping stone. This basin fills with whatever liquid the seas below the city contain, usually either magma or oil. The harbour is lowered into the flaming sea that lies beneath the flying city weekly. The harbour is a site of frantic activity at these times and is largely deserted the rest of the week. The seas of oil are often swept by powerful firestorms that can drive ships into shoals or can destroy their cargo. So firebreaks have been erected to protect the city's harbour. The City of Brass is a shining paradise for those of wealth and station, and a dark hell for those who do not. The bazaars, souks, and slave markets provide materials, worked goods, and manpower to suit every taste at a price. The Efreet consider themselves the most civilized of the genies, not so undisciplined and isolated as the jinn, not so crassly materialistic as the Dao, and not so vain as the Marid. The Efreet are rulers of the greatest empire of the jinn, and they let no one forget it. The comforts of civilization are many, but they do not resemble those of Zakara. Most Efreet do not frequent bathhouses as the people of Zakara do. Instead, they go to sweat lodges designed to heat their fiery bodies to even hotter degrees. There they commonly conduct business, make friends, and renew acquaintances. The white heat in the Efreet sweat lodges comes from magical fires, and Efreet are most comfortable in these baths of flame. One of the greatest markets in the City of Brass is the Kalian, where the vendors of smoke ply their various specialties. Most vendors of smoke sell incense, but others sell tobacco by the pipe or by the pound, smoked meats, and sweet-smelling herbs and oils. The Street of Steel is dominated by the ringing of hammers and wheezer bellows. Azer smiths work here both day and night, making weapons for the Efreet legions, and are paid well for their efforts. The Azer are not allowed to accept work from inns without permission of the Sultan, and this permission is rarely granted, even for powerful nobles. The city's 3 castles are primarily armories, though they can also serve as strongpoints in times of siege or rebellion. Krak al-Nayran, the Castle of Sun and Moon, is the center of the training efforts of the Sultan's finest legions and the home of the finest troops and officers. Krak al-Zinad, the Keep of Fire striking steel, serves the harbour garrisons and trains marines and others in the use of sea-bome weaponry. Krak al-Tawil, the Long Castle, is home to the Jackals, cruel and sadistic salamanders always ready to put down unrest among the poor. The great prison of the city is the Octagon, where up to 10,000 prisoners can be held at any one time. The cells are magical. Each prisoner is sealed into a cube of solid basalt, set with only a single slit for air and food to pass through. The walls of stone that seal a prisoner in can only be opened or closed by the Ifrit guards. The city of Brass is rife with intrigue to rival Hayal. Most of the plotting is the doing of the Ifrit, but that is only due to their superior numbers. Humans, salamanders, and others scheme just as diligently as any Afriti. The court of the Sultan is said to traffic with Batazu, also known as devils, at times, exchanging slaves of the Ifrit for the use of Batazu troops. Indeed, powerful Batazu are said to spend much time behind closed doors with certain of the noble Ifrit, whispering and guiding them into ever greater tyranny and ever harsher and more oppressive rule. The salamanders have recently come under great scrutiny from the Watchfire legions, for there are rumors that the great fountain called the Breath of the Sultan will be extinguished by conspirators from among their ranks, thus setting off the usual frenzy of infighting among the noble Ifrit who aspire to succeed to the throne. Despite the savage questioning and death of hundreds of salamanders, the truth of the rumor and the names of the conspirators remain unknown by scribes. Though the core of the city is the heart of Ifrit power, the Ifrit Empire depends on its far-flung network of slave-takers and tributary states. The beys and emirs of the city are each responsible for a thurga, or military zone, which might contain up to 4 great fortresses. These distant colonies are maintained everywhere on the plane of elemental fire, and each is a haven for up to 40 Ifrit ruled by Malik or Vali, a common Ifrit of the largest size. The fortresses, or albarana, are regional centers of defense. They are constructed of many materials, including brick, stone, and a type of volcanic concrete. Each fortress is garrisoned by an Ifrit legion of at least 1,000 and up to 5,000 soldiers. In the field, these legions are commanded by a noble given the title of Al-Sayyid, master or chieftain. They are accompanied by Dalil, local guides who serve as scouts and translators. Such Ifrit armies have proved sober, frugal, and enduring over the years. The Ifrit beys and emirs see service on the frontiers or on the prime material plane as a necessary burden for the good of all Ifrit. But they do not waste resources on making frontier service comfortable for the masses. These outposts are Spartanly military and strictly functional. The only chamber of any comfort whatsoever in a typical Ifrit outpost or fortress is the chamber occupied by the bey or emir. When he visits, a duty most beys and emirs perform as infrequently as decorum permits. Otherwise, an outpost usually houses a military garrison and up to 100 captives, these latter awaiting transport to the city of Brass, and a life of service to the Ifrit. In addition to Ifrit outposts on the plane of elemental fire, 6 great pashas rule the Ifrit of the prime material plane in the Sultan's name: Bazadan of the Flames, Rashid al-Niran, Sadiq the Smoky, Hajjaj the Intemperate, Umar al-Kushar of the Golden Brow, and Razim the Incandescent. Each has a small number of noble Ifrit as personal followers, though all publicly avow that true power and prestige lie only in the Sultan's court. The Ifrit camps in Zakhara are generally deep in the desert, often in ruined or abandoned cities. If inns discover their camps, they move overnight to a new location, either physically bearing all their goods or by transporting them away in the twinkling of an eye by genie magic. Azers are embedded into the crafting and trade of the City of Brass. Long ago, the Ifrit and the Azers were allies. Azers helped create the City of Brass, forging that home of the Ifrit into the wonder of creation it is today. When the Azers had finished their work, the Ifrit betrayed them, making a failed attempt to enslave all Azers so as to protect the secrets of the city. The Azers believe that only the threat of them revealing the hidden ways into the City of Brass keeps the Ifrit in check. Salamanders are also tied to the City of Brass. Due to the victory of the Azers in disrupting the attempts of the Ifrit to enslave them, this was now put upon the Salamanders. The Ifrit had better luck in establishing a slave race through the Salamanders, which they used to unleash war and destruction across the plains. Salamanders despise the Azers, believing that if the Ifrit had succeeded in dominating them, then they would still be free. The City of Brass is a place of wonder and danger, where the fires of ambition burn brightest and the cost of failure is searing. It stands as a testament to the power of the Ifrit and the allure of wealth and power. For those bold enough to enter its gates, the city offers untold riches, but only if they can survive its molten embrace. The City of Brass teaches us the power of perseverance, and that even in the most inhospitable of locations, we can find wonder, magic, and endure. Thank you for watching the video. We have more videos planned, so like and subscribe to make sure you watch those when they release. Thanks to our members, DJ, Alberto, John, Zeno, and Forrest, who have signed up to our memberships. If you would like to support the channel further, take a look at the links for Patreon and our membership on YouTube. See you all on the next video.